For those who don't know, I'm extremely patriotic. So anyway, guys, what's up? JiGz here. And finally, here's the Berserker skill build. Now remember, this is a personal build that has worked for me, so please don't forget that. So if you didn't know, I hosted a little event for my subscribers, and it was an event to try to get people to submit some songs for the video. So I'm going to post your name here, and I'm going to be sending out those prizes as soon as this uploads, guys. So congrats to all the winners, and at the very end, I gave a secondary prize for all the runner-ups. So I think I chose only 5 of them, but anyway, guys, let's just get started right into it. You know the deal. First, some skills that we should not be picking up. This song's classic. Oh my god, did you hear that seamless transition? Anyway. Alright guys, so I'll be the first to tell you guys, the Berserker maintains his damage by maxing out his action skill. So here you can see I don't have very many skills left on the actions page. Now one skill that I didn't pick up on action tab is the Immortal Breaker. And the reason being, this skill is like a one-trick pony type of thing. It kind of changes your mode into this awesome attack kind of thing, but it costs 70 blood points. And I don't think the damage scaling is really good, not to mention that you can't use any of your other skills while you're in this mode. So it kind of makes your other skills and benefits moot at that point. But everything else you see level 1. I have level 4 on Bloody Wave because it's the last skill I started dumping points into. I kind of regret that because I really like this skill and I wish I was able to get it to max. If you want to get this skill max, I would say take points out of your backstep breaker. I guess that's kind of the two that you can have preference on. As far as commands go, there's a lot of skills here. You can see 2 pages worth of skills that are still here. One of them is Titan Step, and I feel that Titan Step, for Blade Master especially, is a pickup skill, and you don't really need that with Berserker because your left click of your hacking stance, your basic attack, actually picks up people really high for further combos very easily. So you don't really need a pickup skill with this class. Thrust Step is another skill that I don't think is very good for Berserker. Berserker has the added benefit of having very easy guard breaking moves, those being Giant Spin and the Charge Attack, and they break guard without question. Not to mention that the Charge Attack is one of the fastest initiations in the game. It's very hard to defend against, and you don't really need a mobility type skill, and I think Thrust Step is one of those things that don't really play towards the Berserker playstyle in my opinion. Next, we didn't pick up the Change Upper. You use the Stonebreaker twice, and then you left click, and then it launches them into the air, and then changes your stance from hacking stance into the slashing stance. And I don't really like it. It's not very good in terms of launching capabilities, and you don't really like using skills that changes your stance from hacking to slashing. So not that great in my opinion. Another skill that does that as well is the Rising Giant here, and it's one of the few that actually has a video. It actually causes a second hit on your Rising Giant skill, but the problem is it changes your stance again. So if you use all 3 hits of the new combo, it will actually change your stance from hacking into slashing. Not what you want to do. So I did not pick up that skill. I'll drop the skill even if it means dropping the damage. But you see everything else is level 1 that's still here. As far as passives go, our Kaiser Sword, we only kept level 1, so therefore we don't need the Kaiser Tornado. Not to mention that that skill wouldn't even work in PvP. And then obviously the max MP increase and the crit increase, do not pick those up. Everything else though, nah. Alright guys, so that's it on what you don't need to pick up. And now we're going to be talking about all the skills that, you know, we did pick up. So stay tuned for that. I should really be a DJ. Alright guys, so no point in acting excited. We know how this works. At the top, we're going to have the skill name and the icons of the skill. At the bottom left, we're going to have the skill levels corresponding with the top left of the icons. They'll tell you what level to put them in. And at the bottom right, we're going to have 3 designations. It's either going to be U for utility, that means usually level 1, M for max it, which obviously means put it to the max level, and P for preference. That means you put it to what you think is best. But anyway guys, let's get right into it. I just gotta throw this in there. I love this song so much that I doubled the prize for this submission. Very good job. Anyway, let's go. So to start off our action skills, we're going to be looking at Giant Bash. Now, usually I say these are utility skills, but in the case of Berserker, their basic attack picks them up off the ground, so it's not necessary that you get Giant Bash 2 and 3, but I guess it's preference. The next skill, Press Kick, like I always say, Press Kick I always feel is utility. It is one skill that you can use to stance change really quickly, and also causes a stun on hit and has iframe. Very good for utility. Disemboweling Kick is an awesome damage skill. It's also the Berserker equivalent of Thrust Kick, which is the same thing. It does a lot of damage still. You need to max its skill. Kaiser Sword is kind of a preference type skill. A lot of people like maxing your high level skill, the one that's all flashy. I didn't myself, but I could see some situations where you could use it. You're gonna have to try to find some places in this build to be able to do it, but it is possible. Giant Swing, I got level 10. I think it's an awesome skill. Has a bunch of super armor on it and does a ton of damage. Very useful. Rising Giant 1, I like to get this skill max because of the damage amplification. There's really no other reason though. You do have to get both hits of it and you do end up in hacking stance as you would expect. Backstep Breaker I'm going to label as preference. The reason you get this skill is to inflict a large slow status on people, and also has decent damage also. But you don't really need this max, but you can also lower some points so you can get your points in other skills. So I would say this is probably the last skill that you're going to be dumping points into. Mighty Stroke is an awesome skill. It does a ton of damage and it is unblockable. If you get it right on top of a person, it is going to hit them. So it's freaking awesome. It does a ton of damage, and if you use your blood points, it even does more damage. Freaking great. Ground Swing, max it for sure. Can be used in a lot of situations and picks enemies off the ground, so it's very useful and does a ton of damage. Max it. Raise Control is a utility type skill, I'd say. It generates blood points at about a minute cooldown, so you can always have this skill up and generate 10 blood points. It's especially good at the start of matches. Rage Drain is one of those skills where you can just super armor through an attack and then just hit them with it. It does a lot of damage, and I think it's well worth the points of maxing. Force Wave is a skill that you can only use in slashing stance. The second hit of this skill is the one that does the damage, and it's very hard to get that hit off because you can counter it, but I think it's useful for utility. Finally, Bloody Wave is the last skill that I was dumping points into, but I suggest to max this skill because it can do a lot of damage and it is technically blockable, but when it gets behind them, it starts hitting them, so it's not really in that sense. It does a lot of damage and I really like using it. In fact, I would abuse it more often. Onto our command skills. Now usually I would just say preference on dash attack, but in this case I have to say max dash attack. It's different for Berserker because this actually hits multiple times and does a ton of damage. Max it for sure. Bloodlust is a skill that you get automatically, but you can have the choice of leveling. But since this is a PvP build, I would have to suggest not leveling this skill because you cause a massive debuff on you that would get you killed if you activate it. I think you could better use your blood points using other skills. Greatsword Expertise, I'll tell you guys that I maxed it, but it really is preference. If you're not hitting a lot with your basic attacks, either in hacking or slashing stance, then it might not be worth it to put the skill points into this skill. Stonebreaker, leave level 1. It's kind of useless in my opinion, just saying. Giant Spin, leave level 1 because you want to use it for breaking enemies out of guards. It has guard break and it is super quick. It's so hard to avoid this kind of thing. So if people like backstepping on you, you just giant spin them, they're out of it. The next two skills are your grab skills, and I'm going to have to say both of them are utility. Grab Smash may look like Grab Strike, but it really isn't. It causes a weird little kick at the end of it, and then it is not combable. So I'd say both of these grab skills are used just for utility. Blade Charge is one of those skills where I think you can actually get a lot of usage out of it, both in terms of damage and the distance increase that you get from leveling it. I think it's an awesome skill, and I think you should max it. Flame Smash I think is preference. I have found myself not using this skill as much. That's because damage is alright, and I found it as utility kind of thing to use after press kick, and it's a skill that I can use in slash stance, which there's not very many of them. So I would say utility, or don't bother getting it at all. Blaze Flame is one of those skills where I didn't think would do a lot of damage, but it does. If you charge it all the way, it does a lot of damage and is unblockable. Very useful. I'd say max it. Sword Reflex, I'd say just get level 1. This is a great counter skill. It's even better than the Guardian counter skill on block, and it launches automatically. Very awesome. As far as our passives go, you got a max attack mastery 1 and 2, get max on defensive mastery 1, obviously get the max HP increase, and you should already have the blood point skill. Alright guys, that's about it. Thanks for watching this guide video. I hope it's helped you. And I really want to give a shout out to all the guys that helped submit the music for this video. I was really impressed with the types of music that we got. And this is me just saying that there's going to be more events coming out there. So stay tuned for those. So I really appreciate it, and I sent those prizes out. Now just note that if you didn't make it in this video, check to the end, see if you made it in the secondary credits. I was only able to pick 4 songs, so sorry if you didn't make it. But anyway guys, thanks for watching. I hope I was able to help you guys. And please like, favorite, subscribe. You know the deal. It'd really be awesome if I could get even more subscribers so I can make more content, help more people, guys. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys later.